A very good morning. Today is the 27th of Jan 2023, and the title of our devotion is God is in Control. This morning we are going to deal with the experience of children of Israel after the death of Joseph. Joseph was the prime minister. Things went on so good for them. Everything went in their favor. Yesterday we have dealt that they got the choicest land, Goshen. Everything was going fine for them. But Joseph died. In Exodus chapter 1, verse 8 says, "Now there arose up a new king over Egypt who knew not Joseph." Didn't know him. And he looked at Egypt and he saw how the children of Israel are getting more and more mightier than the Egyptians. Anybody would get sad, angry, and would like to check them out when they see a foreigner doing better than the native. So Pharaoh saw that in Egypt, children of Israel are getting mightier than the Egyptians. So he said, we got to do something. We got to do something to get rid of these people. And so he wants to make their life more miserable. Maybe he wants them to run away from there. Verse 11, "Therefore they set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses." Taskmasters were made and they said, deal with them in the toughest way. Verse 12 says, "But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel." The more Egyptians were, children of Israel are slaves, Egyptians are the natives, Egyptians are the soldiers, Egyptians are the rulers. But it was grieving them, looking at the progress they are making. Though Joseph died and went away, God is in still control. Yesterday I was telling you, God went down with Jacob to Egypt. So the presence of God was there with them. And so they were making tremendous progress. And then the Egyptians tried to make their lives more miserable. Nothing good was happening. And then the king of Egypt spoke to the midwives, the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shipra and the name of the other was Puah. Their names are mentioned because they did something wonderful. So he called them and he said, if there is a son born to a Hebrew, kill them right at their birth. And if it is a daughter, let the girl live. That's what the king gave order. Pharaoh, the highest power. Verse 17, "But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men, children alive." They feared God. They were not killing. They were not listening to the king. Because they feared God more than the king of Egypt. Dear child of God, I want you to know this very important aspect. Number one, as I have just reminding to you, when we go, wherever you go, whether you go down, whether you go up, whether you go to this end, whether you go to that end, whether you go to the North Pole or the South Pole, or to the East or the West, the Lord is willing to go with you. When you seek His blessings, when you seek His presence, when you seek His guidance, He's willing to go with you and He's willing to make you prosper. And that's what exactly he fulfilled in the life of the children of Israel in Egypt. They multiplied mightier than the Egyptians. Egyptians got scared. They got scared. Looking at the growth, looking at the progress. Can you imagine? Just try to imagine the scenario. The slaves are multiplying mightier. The slaves are getting stronger than the citizens of the country, than the rulers of the country. The rulers of the country were getting scared of what would happen in future. And so they tried to make their life miserable. They appointed taskmasters. They made the work tough. They dealt with them in a very rude, cruel, inhuman way. They did everything possible to make their lives miserable. But the interesting part of the story is, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And looking at their multiplication, looking at their growth, the Egyptians were grieved. The people who are troubling are suffering. Can you understand? The people who are troubled are multiplying. That's what God can do. When God is in control of your life, the people who trouble you will be troubled. Their trouble will not trouble you. Their threats will not threaten you. And all their plans, all their crooked ideas will ultimately turn out for nothing. When God is in control of your lives, you will become mightier even being a slave, being a servant, being an ordinary employee, being an ordinary citizen. No matter what your social status is, no matter what your financial condition is, no matter what your educational qualification is, you can go and get mightier and mightier and mightier. You can grow and excel. You can establish yourself well. And that's what happened. So Pharaoh thought, this is not working out. Let us get them killed. Let the boy child be killed right at the birth. But the midwives feared God than fearing Pharaoh. Dear child of God, even if you're a servant, they were servants rather. Midwives were almost like servants. These people got command from Pharaoh, but they didn't obey Pharaoh because they chose to obey God than to obey Pharaoh. You need to make a decision to obey God rather than man. That's what the midwives did. That's why their names were written here in the Bible. Shipra and Puah, they were just midwives, but their names were written as if they have done something marvelous, as if they have done something great. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They obeyed God rather than obeying man. And so when they didn't adhere to the instruction of the king couldn't do anything. It is easy to kill midwives, right? He can simply kill them, get them killed. He couldn't do because they feared God. When you fear God, even if you're an ordinary person, No matter how powerful the man above you is, he cannot do anything to you. She cannot do anything to you. Powers cannot. The earthly powers cannot shake you. The earthly powers cannot trouble you. The earthly powers cannot threaten you. The earthly powers cannot suffer you. Because the divine power is with you. Obey God rather than man. Because He's in control. Gracious Lord, thank you so much for the beautiful lesson you have taught us this morning. That when we obey you rather than man, no matter how insignificant we are, you're going to bless us. And you're going to use us to be a blessing to many. Thank you for reassuring us that you are still in control of this planet Earth. Continue to take control of us. Teach us to obey you rather than man. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you. Good day. God bless you.